Welcome to Into It with the Intuitive. I'm your host, Julie Bachos. Are you ready to get into it? Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I am super excited about today's topic because it is one of my passions, and that would be animal communication. Those of you that know me know that I love dogs. There's just some part of me that connects to them on such a deep level. It's a well-known fact in my family that mom is not allowed to go to any pound unsupervised because she will and has come home with a dog. All of my kids learned very early on that if the Sarah McLachlan dog rescue commercials came on the TV, they were to immediately change it. This was, of course, per my husband's instructions to them. I currently have 3 dogs, which my husband says is the max that I'm allowed, even though I keep trying to convince him that we are technically allowed 4 for where we live. But so far, I haven't had any luck in changing his mind. I have also served as a foster mom for a local senior dog rescue, which is where I got my beloved Chester, because I foster failed. But you can't blame me. If you saw a picture of him, you'd totally understand why. But honestly, I just love all animals. And that's something that I have had as a trait since I was born. I've just been drawn to them. But for me, dogs have been particularly special. So if you're new to the concept of animal communication, it's simply the process of becoming aware of your intuitive connection with the animal. This is very similar to using your intuition to connect with another person. Maybe there's a specific animal that you felt drawn to over the years, or one that you just felt like you had a connection with. That's kind of where I would start when you're dipping your toe into animal communication, because that just means that you already have somewhat of a connection with that particular animal. It's going to be much easier for you to tap into animal communication once you've really developed your own intuition in your own life and have a stable foundation of trust in it for yourself. Then from there, generally, I would suggest either focusing on hearing and tapping into that developed personal intuition to connect with others that you know, and then others that you don't know before moving on to animal communication. If you're a pet parent, then I'm sure you're familiar with some of your pet's own nonverbal communication cues to you. I'm sure you have a good idea when they need to go outside to go to the bathroom, when they're hungry, and when they want to play. They may not be telling us with words, but we can pick up on it based on eye contact, body movement, and from being around them and having a relationship. The main difference between communicating with other people versus animals is the way that you generally will receive the messages. Nonverbal, intuition-based communication isn't really new. You can pretty much ask any new mom and she will tell you that she knows what her infant needs. It's the most basic way for us to connect with others. What happens is as we learn language and how to talk, that becomes more important in society than the original intuitive types of communication that we all start out with. One of the reasons why I fully believe that everyone has an intuitive sense and everyone can learn how to tap into and develop that more. Animal communication is very similar in the fact that it is non-verbal communication. It's that heart-to-heart connection that you have. Animals communicate with me mainly through feelings and images. For example, one of the animal communication sessions that I did, the dog showed me a specific bone that gets filled with a specific filling that he was missing out on, and wanted me to communicate that to his pet parent to know that he would really appreciate it if she could start giving him those exact treats again. Now, this was different than a session with a human because he was actually showing me the bone. It was like a visual picture in my mind, and he even showed me his mom filling it. In another session that I had, the animal communicated to me that there was actually some stomach issues that were going on and showed me exactly what it was that they were eating that was causing those issues. So I was able to let the pet parent know so that they could adjust their pet's diet and really help heal the pet's issues that it was having with its stomach. When we are communicating with animals, we need to be aware that they don't think the same way that we do, and their priorities and the things that they value really aren't the same as our own. I had a client who came to me asking about her senior dog, and the dog showed me that it was happy and content and enjoyed being around its owners immensely. Now, the client was concerned because to them, the dog didn't really seem like he was having a full life, struggling with arthritis, having some accidents on the floor. So you can see how there's a difference in opinion as to what a full life might look like to us versus the dog. My general rule of thumb, though, is that you really need to make sure that the relationship with the animal isn't to a place where you resent it because of health issues. Knowing when to say goodbye to an animal is one of the hardest decisions you can make as a pet parent. I've had to do this several times over the years, but I think one of the hardest goodbyes that I had to say was in May of 2020. We had rescued a lab 2 years prior, and this lab was special. She just really honestly felt like my spirit animal. She was with me through some of the hardest, most difficult times in my life after we left religion and really were shunned. And she was just my rock. Constant, always happy to see me, always next to me on the couch, comforting me. And she and I were inseparable. So having to make that decision to say goodbye to Marley was like losing my best friend. I was so thankful in that moment to be able to communicate with her and have that assurance that she also knew that it was time to say goodbye. It gave me that sense of peace that I needed. She was probably one of the only animals so far that I have interacted with and communicated with that actually spoke to me in words. It was still during the pandemic, so we couldn't go into the emergency vet with her, and we were communicating with the vet via phone. And I remember after the vet called me to tell me kind of what the status update was, I just reached out to Marley to talk to her to kind of see what was going on since I couldn't be there with her. And I still remember the words that she told me. And she basically said, "Mom, it's time to say goodbye. I'm going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You have Chester. He's going to take care of you too." And Chester was our foster fail that we rescued in February of that same year. So we had only had him a couple months. But I almost felt like she was waiting for me to have that connection and bond, not as strong as I had with her. I don't know if I'll ever have that type of relationship with another animal. I hope so. But to have that type of a relationship that's similar. And I just broke down crying, and I looked at my husband, Jason, and I said, it's time. I was just so thankful that they did allow us to come in and actually be with her. I think that gave her a sense of peace to know that we were there by her side. But as you can just tell, it's been 2 years and it's still hard for me to talk about her because she was someone that was just a part of me and always will be. And if you're a pet parent, you know that there are just some pets that are like that in your life. And Marley was one of those pets for me. I'm just so thankful that I got the opportunity to be her mom. I think it's important that we not only learn how to tap into our intuition for ourselves, and also to help us connect to those around us, but also to connect with animals, because we are all living in this earth together and we all are interconnected. And so being able to tap into and connect with that divine wisdom inside of us, not just for people, but also for animals, is such an amazing gift. Let's try an activation today to help you connect to an animal that's either past in your life or one that is current. It will be easier if you connect with an animal that you felt like you had a special relationship to, or one that really touched your heart, kind of like my Marley. So once you have your animal picked out that you want to try to connect with, what I want you to do is just take a moment to make sure that you are sitting up straight, that your feet are flat on the floor. And one of the easiest grounding activities that I like to do is, when my feet are flat on the floor, I like to picture these like tree roots coming out of them and just digging down into the earth, just going down, down, down into the core until they spread out and are basically anchoring me into the very earth. And this is a really easy visualized grounding activity that you can do anywhere. So what I want you to do is just close your eyes right now, and I want you to think of those roots coming out of the bottom of your feet, going through the floor, down into the foundation of where you're at, going down deep, deep into the earth and spreading out and anchoring you in that earth. And with your eyes still closed, I want you to think about a special place, a place that you feel safe and secure and comfortable. And I want to picture yourself in that safe space that you have. I want you to look around at the details. What do you hear? What can you see? Are there specific smells that are coming across for you? And just really give yourself a moment to just be in that space, observing everything around you, feeling the peace and the tranquility of where you're at. And then I want you to look, and a little bit away from you, you see this image kind of appearing, and you can't quite make it out yet, but it's coming closer and closer to you. And the closer you get, the clearer that you can see that this is your pet. the one that you had picked, the one that you wanted to connect with. And the pet gets closer to you, close enough where you can reach out and touch it and hold it and hug it. And I want you to just take a moment to embrace this animal. Take a moment to just thank this animal for showing up. Let them know how you feel about them. And then I want you to observe what they show you. Ask them to show you how they feel about you and see what comes into your mind's eye. If you're not getting a picture, look around and see if they're showing you in your safe space. Look around and see if there's something else that they want you to see. Maybe it's how they're interacting with you. Maybe it's a specific way that they used to nudge you. Maybe it's a specific way that they used to look at you. Just note what you see. Spend some time being with this animal. Spend some time communicating to them what you want them to know, what questions you have. Allow yourself to step out of the thinking mind and trust what your heart and gut is telling you. The best thing about this safe space and this connection to your animal is that you can come back here anytime that you like. All you have to do is picture yourself in this space and know that your animal will show up for you because they love you. Thanks for joining me today. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new content. I hope to see you back soon.